Welcome back to Where in the World, where we have real conversations with young professionals about life and career, all while attempting to guess where in the world they are. We'll learn something new about our guests and what it's like to forge your own career path as a young professional. And when we say young, we're really talking about a state of mind. You'll learn by watching this web series that your career will take many dips and turns over time, and just when you think you've made it, you might have to scrap it all and start from scratch. Sometimes that's just the way it goes, and we ride the tide. I'm your host, Clary Johnson, and I'm joined here today by someone who has been in my corner since my OG corporate days. He is an instrumental part of my business transformation and someone I look forward to talking about all things mindset and spiritual fitness. We're joined today by Maxwell Darwin. Maxwell is a communications designer and content developer. He is currently the e-learning administrator for the County of Ventura. In his role, he is the primary developer of all e-learning content and oversees the county's learning management system. The big hairy question we're asking today is, how can young professionals use their minds to manifest their dream careers? But before we jump in, let's do some housekeeping. This is a mini web series game show. The questions will range from standard like interview questions to more personal questions about our guests' careers. You'll notice we're both here today with different backgrounds. In between questions, we'll each have an opportunity to guess where in the world the other person is. And the first person to guess correctly wins. Our guest can ask for clues along the way, and our audience can also join in and help out by also asking for clues. So please join me in welcoming Maxwell.
Hi, Claire.
Hello.
Thank you so much.
So, Maxwell, first, I want to say that you are so talented and multi-dimensional, which made crafting the questions for today quite challenging. Prior to this, we talked about a number of topics that we could touch on, including navigating your career as a contractor, working from home. But when I sat down to craft the questions, I really felt like I was missing the mark. So I went back to the drawing board with a peanut butter jelly sandwich in one hand and my laptop in the other. And I thought about our relationship and the ways that you've helped me get to the root of how I think and find alignment in my business. So today, we're going to be talking about how young professionals can manifest their dream careers by tapping into their mindset and belief systems. We're also going to touch on your experience as a contractor. And if we have a little bit of time, we may ask a question about the challenges of working remotely. So this conversation might get a little messy, but I'm ready to start sorting it out. How about you?
Let's clean up that mess.
Awesome. So let's begin with our most common interview question, and that is, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Sounds good. So, thank you so much, thank you so much, first of all, for having me on. I'm really excited to be here. And so, I guess my background just kind of goes chronologically. So, I went to school in about 2010, 2014. That was my college years. Went to California State University, Chico, graduated with a degree in communication design, graphic design, and instructional design emphasis. And then after college, went to work for American Honda Motors, where I worked for 5 years. Most of that time was spent as an in-classroom facilitator and instructional designer. Then I moved over to a startup company called Service Titan, and I was there for about a year and a quarter. And then now I work in the public sector, working for the County of Ventura. So all along these different career paths and this journey, I've had contract positions, I've had full-time positions, I've had position with a startup company, a government organization, and also with a large Fortune 100 company. So from a career standpoint, that's pretty much what I've been doing the last couple of years. And on a more personal level, I guess I would just say that I really enjoy getting a chance to explore what language means and how we communicate in the world, how we communicate with ourselves, and what does it mean to actually be in control or aware of the language that you use, even inside of your own mind as you speak to yourself during your day. So, thanks again for having me on. I'm really excited to dive into those topics.
Man, this is such an interesting topic about how we speak to ourselves, because one of the things I talk about is how when we give compassion to ourselves, we allow ourselves to give compassion to other. But it's the same with how we talk to ourselves. The way we talk to ourselves is also expressed in how we talk to others. And so it's so important that we really dive into our own minds and explore those thoughts and those belief systems that really activate our expression, and really take control of that and use our power to mold our language in a way that's going to really be positive and help us to manifest the careers and the lives that we want. So thank you for sharing. Let's take a pause, and we're going to guess where each of the other are, where each other are. I'm going to guess where you are, and you're going to guess where I am. Okay.
Okay.
So, tree of life. You okay, so you're by water,
Hmm.
and there's one tree here.
Hmm.
I don't see any other signs of life or vegetation in the area. So I'm going to guess that you are somewhere in the Mediterranean.
I am not in the Mediterranean,
Wow. Okay.
but I'm excited to be able to share a story about this tree as we progress because I have been there and I actually took that photo.
That's a great photo.
That's not even the best one. I have a better one that I took, but it just didn't really work for this particular thing. So I'll send it to you afterwards, or maybe we can show it on screen in the edited
Absolutely.
version. All right, can you move to the side so I can see the full picture, please?
But wait, no, 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 no. You've got to
Oh,
tell me the story. Like, I need a
oh
clue.
no, oh no. You'll figure that out throughout the hour as we go. I'll share a little bit more about the story, and then eventually those will be my
Okay.
hints.
Okay. Okay. So the hint is that you've been to this place and
I've
you took this photo.
I've been to this place. Yes.
Okay. All right. So here I am. Let me, here I am. Try to
Okay.
fade into the background a little bit.
So I don't have a lot to go on here. I have granite. The stone is granite. Wait, hold on. Can you move to the side? What's down here at the bottom of the
There's a
screen?
hole
Oh,
there with some
okay.
water in it.
Okay, that's not super helpful. Um, can you do this? Can I see? I want to see what's behind your head, really quick.
What am I doing?
Like just
Just ducking a little bit. Okay.
okay. Um, you can come back. I'm going to ask a pretty broad question.
Okay.
Is this in the continent of Asia?
Let's find out. Is this in the continent of Asia? Oh, I'm almost positive the answer is no, but I want to make sure. Mhm. The continent of Asia. So I was correct in saying no,
Hmm.
this is not in the continent of Asia.
Okay. Hmm.
I'll give you a clue about
Okay.
this place. Okay.
Sure.
Um, so this place is the birthplace of Cyrillic script, which was created by two monks from Thessalon in the ninth century. So Cyrillic is the name of the alphabet of this place.
Cyrillic? Is it
Yes.
Cyrilic?
Yes, it is.
Is it Russia?
No. No, it is
Okay.
not Russia.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, just to give you guys some context, before the show, I had a different background, and I asked Maxwell if he knew where I was, and he immediately stated where I was. So I had to go back to the drawing board and change my background.
she goes, "Do you know where this is?" And I go, "That's Machu Picchu." She's like, "Yep." I'm like, "Ugh. Damn it."
Try again. Okay, so let's move on to our second question. You have had a colorful career, to say the least. You've worked as an independent contractor. You've also experienced the private sector and now the public sector.
Mhm.
How would you describe your career in this moment and paint a picture of the path that brought you here?
Okay. I'm actually going to start with the past and then work my way to the present. So, when I first started working at American Honda Motors, I was a customer service agent and I didn't really have any customer service experience. And even more strange than that was I got hired on as a social media specialist. When I started, there was only a team of 5 people working for the Honda customer service team in social media. By the time I left, it was a team of at least 30 people.
Wow.
So when I got there, I was basically one of the starting online customer service agents. And I was there in that role for about a year and some change. And just got to know managers. That was like the main thing that I really did during that time was I got to know managers and supervisors. And to clarify, during this time I was a contractor. So what I really did during this time was I tried to set myself apart from the other people who were working, and I tried to volunteer for projects. Hey, if we have this project coming up, is there anyone who can help? I'm like, I want him. Let me be a part of it, because I learned really early on that the best thing I could do was show face. Because if I could get in front of managers, I knew that I could communicate with them well. And so from there, I ended up moving into a training type of role where I was the junior training and development specialist as a contract agent, and or as a contingent worker, whichever you prefer. Then from that role, I actually got promoted into the same exact position, but as a full-time employee with Honda. So we call that an associate position. But it was now just, rather than junior training developer, it was just training and training development specialist. And then when I left, my role had transitioned into instructional designer. And then I used language and internal manifestation stuff that we can probably talk about in the next couple questions to manifest my next job, which was with the company's Service Titan. And the reason that I did that was I was at the point where I was like, I'm not really fulfilled working at Honda anymore. This was the very beginning of COVID as well. So I just wanted something different. They had, at that time, they had moved all of the call center employees from Torrance, which was basically where I lived, to Chino, which was about 50 miles away. And so that added a 2.5 hour commute each direction on my day every single day. So I was like, this isn't cool. I'm going to find a new way to live my life. So I sourced the job at Service Titan, worked there for about a year and 3 months, and then I was let go. And during the time where I was let go, I went on vacation and I went to the place where I took this photo. And then I got a call. No, I'm sorry. I got a LinkedIn message out of nowhere from this guy, Tom Farish with Prosum. And he said, "Hey, I have a government position for you, and it's a contract position. Do you want it?" And I honestly said no at first. I was like, government job, that's really not me. Like, I'm not really about that life. And he says, "Why don't you give it a chance?" And I was in a part of my life where I was like, well, I don't have a job. And I had been doing a particular abundance and manifestation exercise called a Kriya. And I had been doing that every single day for several weeks at that point in time. And so I was like, okay, well, this is the universe's answer. This is the universe saying, here you go. You wanted a job? Here. And so I worked there from May of last year up until just earlier like the end of last month, where I then became a full-time employee. The interview process with them took about 2.5 months
Wow.
to go from interview as a contract all the way to being employed with the county. So yeah, that was a little bit long, but hopefully that gives a good scope of how it all worked for me.
That was so powerful for me. And now I want to guess again where you are.
Okay.
Okay, so we are not in the Mediterranean.
We are
So I'm
not.
gonna have to narrow us down by continent. Are we in North America?
You are not in North America.
Okay. I kind of guessed we weren't, but North America is very big. So I figured rule that out first and then go to the rest of the world. Can I get a clue
Yes.
about this place?
Yes. This country speaks Spanish.
Oh, I felt like there was a but coming in there.
No, I'm just being careful. I'm
Or
just
an
being careful.
although.
No,
Okay.
I think the I'll say I'll keep it as is. The inhabitants of this country speak Spanish.
Okay. Well, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. Your turn.
You had mentioned that the language that was created there was Cyrillic, which is
Yes.
typically used in Russia, Ukraine, Slavic countries.
Okay.
And so I am going to venture a question.
Okay.
Have we ever gone to war with the country that is in? The United States? Have we ever gone to war with them?
Oh, let me check. By the way, Google is on limits for the show.
On limits. Okay.
Mhm. So I'm going to Google this because I'm not sure. Wow. This country declared war on the United States. Should I tell you when, or would that be too easy?
Give me the 50 years that it happened.
In the 1900s.
Okay.
1900s, obviously, lots of years
Yeah.
within that realm. But
They
yes, this
declared war.
country declared war on the United States.
Okay.
And then the United States declared war on this country a year later.
Okay. So it's not Russia because you told me that before.
It is not Russia. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, do you want me to guess?
Yes.
Is it a country that has the word Slavia or something like that in it?
You get a guess, Maxwell. You
Is it
already got the clue,
okay? Okay.
okay?
Is it Yugoslavia?
No, it is not.
It is not. Okay.
You're making me nervous. Okay. You're making me very nervous. All right. So we talked a little bit about this, right? We've talked about the word contractor. Now I want everyone to know that the word contractor, and we're also going to use another term, which is contingent worker. And I think you may have also said that as well. Um, they're not necessarily interchangeable, but they're very similar. So I did some research ahead of this because I knew we were going to be talking on this subject. I wanted to make sure that we were getting the terms right. So what I found um, is that contractors are contingents, but not every contingent is a contractor. So contractors might also include part-time workers. They may also include on-call workers. So there is some nuance there. So I'm saying that to set up this question, which is, can you briefly describe what a contractor is in your own terms or in your own language? Because we're not talking about construction, okay? And some of the challenges that contractors face in the workplace when it comes to career mobility.
Definitely. I think that's a really important question, especially for young folks who are coming into the workplace. A contract employee is somebody who is not hired on officially with the agency, but their full-time workplace is typically that place, if that makes sense. So it's like it'd be like this. I'm corporation A and I hire out to hiring agency B. And hiring agency B then hires out employee C. I don't, as the corporation, I don't pay the employee directly. I pay a particular amount, which is an agreed upon contract, to the agency, and then the agency then pays the employee a negotiated salary or hourly rate. So, in the content of my workplaces, I started work with a company called Aerotech. So I was an Aerotech employee, but I worked on staff at American Honda Motors. For my current role, I started at Prosum, but I was on staff at the County of Ventura. And then the second part of the question was, what are some of the implications of being a contractor? I would say, I'm going to say my honest answer, and that is that there's actually some stigma around being a contractor. I've heard from many people that they feel like it's worse. I don't necessarily know if that's true, because there's different benefits and different things that are better for each. But I have heard people say this. I've heard people say, when I'm a contract employee, I don't necessarily feel like the culture, or I don't really feel included with everything that happens at the primary office. And the reason for that is there's a legal precedent that you have to technically treat contract employees differently from full-time employees. I don't really understand why, but you can't give the contract people the same thing that you can give to the full-time employees.
Really, really great points there. I'm going to guess where you are now, because we're in a Spanish speaking country. Are we in South America?
I'm going to give you the hint answer. Technically, it's Central America.
Oh, okay. That's a good hint answer. So you said technically, though.
It's very close to South America.
Okay, so it's Central America close to South America.
I mean, there's a lot there.
Okay. All right, it's your turn.
You have to guess.
Oh, I mean it's wait, I didn't guess. Oh,
You
I
didn't
guess.
guess.
Well, I did guess. I said, well, I asked a question. You're
You asked the
right.
question.
I
So
more
yeah,
so asked for a clue. All right, so it's Central America close to South America. And are we in Panama?
we are not in Panama.
Okay. Well, I can only go north from here. So
Yeah, I guess so. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to use a map really quick. Okay. So it's a Slavic country.
Mhm.
Is the Slavic country currently at war?
Let's find out. Question is,
You're wondering why I'm asking war questions. It's because historically I can figure it out from that.
so I'm going to say no. This
Okay.
country is not at war. So we are not in Ukraine, if that is.
Yeah, I was going to ask what's Ukraine. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm going to ask no, I can't ask another question. I have to guess.
Mhm.
So is the country sorry, my mind is like blanking right now. Are you in Croatia?
We are not in Croatia, but I will give you a clue
Okay.
about this place. Okay. So And I'm going to give you a clue about the specific place that I'm in.
Okay.
Okay. So, the ancient sanctuary where I'm at is one of 3 points forming the strongest energy zones in Europe. I'll repeat that because I flustered over my words. The ancient sanctuary where I'm at is one of the 3 points forming one of the strongest energy zones in Europe.
Okay. That is not helpful at all. I'm like looking at a map of Europe and I'm like, I have any clue.
Where these energy zones?
I don't
The,
like. I don't want to just Google energy zones in Europe because it's going to give me the answer. But I'm also like,
okay, so we will move on to our
okay,
next question. So here's a statistic. There were 51.5 million contingent workers in the United States in 2020. This is according to a report released by staffing industry analysts. They represented 35%, and by they, I mean the contingent workers, of the nation's workforce and generated $1.3 trillion in revenue. What is your reaction to these numbers?
I mean, it's kind of just like, yeah, that makes sense. You know, it's like when I think about, I guess when I think about it this way, I've been looking at LinkedIn postings recently just to try to just to see what's out there with all the layoffs happening. I'm kind of like, how many people are applying for jobs? What jobs are happening? What jobs are available? And the numbers that you just mentioned sound about right with what I'm seeing on hiring pages. I would say probably about 35 to 45% of the postings I see are contract employee positions. And so, yeah, I can't really say I'm like surprised that the trillion wasn't even surprising either. I'm like, if it's 35% of the workforce, yeah, that's a huge amount of money that we're producing in GDP. So yeah, that makes sense. Nothing really more to it.
Yes. And so that brings us to our next guest.
Okay. Transition.
Yes. Because I really want to find out where you are.
Okay.
So we are in Central America, close to South America, but not quite. We are not in Panama. Are we in El Salvador?
Think bigger than El Salvador.
Bigger than El Salvador. Okay. So I have.
Actually, hang on. Hold on. I need to look at a map really quick. Well, I'm going to make sure I'm not leading you down the wrong path here.
I mean, El Salvador is pretty small in comparison to the neighboring countries. So.
I want to confirm that I'm not like totally leading you down the wrong path here.
Okay.
Definitely bigger than El Salvador.
Okay. Definitely bigger.
It's not the biggest, but it is bigger.
Okay. Am I close in proximity?
I mean, there's only 6 countries in Central America, so
sure. And I've already guessed 2 of them.
2 of them. And it's not Belize, because Belize is the same size as El Salvador. So you got about 4 more choices.
All right.
Are you in Czechoslovakia?
I am not in Czechoslovakia.
Well, I probably should have asked for a hint before that, huh?
Well, I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
This country has more than 350 monasteries.
Monastery. Now, monastery would be specifically just any type of temple, or is it a Christian temple?
Orthodox Christian church.
Interesting. Okay. that still
Located
doesn't
in
really
remote
narrow it down a
areas
lot.
surrounded by beautiful nature.
I'm like, yeah, but like all Slavic countries are Christian countries for the most part. I mean, unless you're talking about like Kazakhstan, but Western Slavic countries are pretty much all Christian. Well, I already guessed.
Would you like to ask for a different kind of clue?
Sure. Let me. Okay, I'm gonna ask a geographical question.
Okay. By the way, I'm pretty impressed by your knowledge of geography and of history.
Okay, so in in the map of Slavic countries,
Mhm.
there's like 20.
Okay.
So um, is the country north of Hungary?
No, it is not.
It is
This
not.
country is not north of Hungary,
Okay. Um,
nor east, because you already guessed.
is it?
Mhm. You already did you guess already?
I guessed Czechoslovakia,
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
which technically doesn't exist anymore now that I'm looking at it.
Mhm.
But yeah. So back to the other thing.
All right. That's your guess?
Czechoslovakia would be
All
my
right.
guess, right? Unless I can get a
Okay.
second guess, I'll take a second guess.
Mm, you would like that, wouldn't you?
I would
Okay.
like that. I would like that.
So, tell us about a time when you used your mental power to manifest an outcome in your career. What did you manifest? How did you manifest it? And what was the result?
You know, it's funny. I like sit back and I think for a second, not because there's so few of these, but like because there's literally so many of them. I was doing this before I even knew that I was doing it. Um, I'll give the most conscious attempt at this. When I was transitioning from American Honda Motors to Service Titan, I how would I even say this without getting woo woo? This is going to be woo woo because it is. It doesn't make sense. Like it literally like doesn't make sense. I was getting to the point in my career at Honda where I was unhappy. I was basically fed up with the way that things were going. I didn't like that they forced everybody to move, including myself. I didn't like the way that we were treating our customers at the time because of factors related to COVID and certain other things. So I was like, okay, I just need to find something else. And so I'm like, so I start looking and I start going on LinkedIn or whatever, and I see this posting. And I think if I remember correctly, I think I had ignored it. And then it kept coming up. Like I was like, see it over and over and over again. And I hope I'm not mixing up two stories, but I think what happened was I had submitted an application and then a recruiter had reached out to me from that company, I think like the same day or something like that. It was some weird circumstance where I had agreed with myself where I was like, yeah, you know what? I am going to apply for that job. And then someone from the company like reached out to me. I think that's what it was. And the reason that this all seemed to have happened was on the back end. What I mean by that is like behind, out of the office, I was literally doing prayer. I was doing mantra. I was doing sigils. So I was like writing down a phrase. I wrote down, I work at Service Titan. And I had
Wow.
written it in this like crazy language that I draw. Like it kind of just looked like a drawing. It didn't look like words anymore. And I had that in front of my desk at work.
Wow.
And I had mentioned earlier something called Kriya. So there's a particular Kriya called Sobhag Kriya. And it is an energetic practice. Basically, it's a meditation, breath work, and mantra and mudra practice. So you do certain movements, breaths, and words, and you do them every single day with devotion, no matter what. And it moves energy. Like it's hard to explain because it's like it just works. on a spiritual level, it does something. Like, I don't really know how to explain it, but it just does something. And so I was doing that every single day. I was literally speaking it into existence. I work at Service Titan. I work at Service Titan. I wasn't thinking about, I want to work at Service Titan, or I hope I get the job, or I hope I'm offered the position. I was adamant and declaring, living in the space of, I already work there. That was the main mindset switch, was like, I already have this job. I'm the perfect candidate for this job. And they couldn't possibly pick anyone else because this is my job. And that's kind of the mindset I was going into it with, was like, I already have it. And so, yeah, that was, I know that there's a lot there. There's a lot of things that were going on then, and trying to remember all of it is kind of crazy, but yeah, that happened that time. And then also similarly with the other job as well.
You promised that you were going to give us some stories about this space, this place that you've been, and I haven't heard any stories yet.
So the place that I went to was for a wedding. And when I went to this wedding, this was for a group of influencers. So a lot of people who are really big on YouTube, really big in the influencer space, would be at this wedding. The two people who were getting married were Louis Cole, who is Fun for Louis on Instagram. He has over 1 million followers. And then his wife, Raya. And she also has, like 700,000 or over 1 million followers, something like that. And so, as you can imagine, a lot of their friends are other influencers. So I went down to this country for 9 days or something like that. And while I was there, I traveled to 3 different areas of one state, and we stayed in 3 different areas. And I'll give you a big clue here. One of the places I stayed is one of the largest and most sought after yoga retreat centers in all of Central America.
Okay, I wasn't gonna guess this because I just felt maybe it was too obvious. Are you in Costa Rica?
I am in Costa Rica.
I wasn't gonna guess it, Maxwell. I said I'm not gonna do it. It's too obvious.
What state is this in, though?
Oh, now so you said it's one of the most sought after places for yoga retreats.
And this is, and I was only in one state.
So here's the deal. I studied abroad in Costa Rica. I mean,
okay.
Yeah. So I'm familiar with Costa Rica, and so is this the capital, San Jose?
No.
Okay,
it would be north of San Jose.
North of San Jose. Okay. I'm not as familiar with that. So I'm familiar with like Nicaragua, kind of that direction. Let me see. States. So, And by the way, I believe it was the first episode that we did. I was also in Costa Rica. It may have been the first or the second episode.
So there are 8. Wait, is it 7 or 8? Punta Neras, San Jose, Cartago, Limon, Heredia, Aloea, and Guanacaste.
Okay, Guanacaste.
So, technically, you are correct.
Oh, okay.
This is in the Guanacaste Peninsula.
Okay.
And the tree of Costa Rica is the Guanacaste tree.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a Guanacaste tree, I don't think. But you've got close. I feel like I'll just tell you what's going on here. How about that?
Okay. Tell me what's going on.
This is called the Jesus tree. And
the
what
tree of life.
It's not the tree of life. It's called the Jesus tree. But check this out. So you notice that you had mentioned earlier on that there is close to water.
Yes.
This is a rocky shore. This tree is growing out of the rock. It's the only tree in the entire area. There's an entire peninsula that it's just this one tree.
Wow.
And the tide comes in, and it comes in over the roots. So this tree grows in salt water, and you can't see it in this image, but there's these tiny little fingers that are coming up out of the stone so that when the tide comes in, it can absorb water above ground. Because the
Wow.
stone is so hard that it can't collect water underneath the stone. And when the tide comes in, it looks like it's walking on water.
Wow. So
Isn't-
can you when you're seeing these roots, are they moving? Do you see them moving?
No, I mean it's not like that. They're just like they look like tiny little they're just like look tiny little tree roots. They're just like they come out. They're not like worms, right? They're just
Hmm.
like tree roots. But when you look closely at the ground, you can kind of see them, kind of here. It's a little
Yeah.
small, like at the very base of the tree to the left.
Okay.
There's little,
Oh, I
little
can see.
it
Yes, like little
kind of looks like
sprouts.
grass.
Yeah,
It kind of looks like grass, but they're actually these like little fingers that come up out of the ground.
that's incredible.
It's super cool.
And so it survived off of salt water.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. In fact, here I want to.
And I guess that's not totally surprising because there are so much vegetation that thrives in salt water. But when you think of trees, I don't typically think of trees as surviving on the salt water.
I wouldn't think so either, and I think that's part of the thing about it that makes it so like that's interesting.
That is cool. Oh,
Okay,
is that
so
you on the right?
yeah, so you can see here
Oh,
it's kind of
that's
hidden by my name, but there's these pools of water. There's like these tide pools,
hmm
and you can actually get. I have another photo that's like a really cool reflection where it looks like it's sitting on its own reflection.
hmm
And my friends and I are standing on the peninsula, and we're doing some of the movements from the show The OA.
Okay.
And if you've seen The OA, that would make sense. But if you haven't, it's definitely worth watching. So anyway, this is just a really cool moment for us to get a chance to pose and have some fun, be weird.
Now, is this picture, this angle that we're looking at,
Mhm.
is this from the opposite side?
This would be from the land side. So
Right.
behind us, that's the ocean, kind of over here in the like
Gotcha.
underneath my legs. That's like the ocean.
So this is more as a zoomed out.
Yeah,
Wow.
zoomed out and lower down to the ground.
This is beautiful.
It's super cool.
Oh,
Sorry, my chair is taking up most of
thank
the.
you, Maxwell, for sharing.
Yeah, of course. Super fun journey that was going to Costa
Mhm.
Rica. By the way, the story of trying to find this tree was just absolutely ridiculous. So probably not for this podcast, but another time. It's definitely an interesting story. We got lost like 6 times.
So you knew this tree existed, and so you went to find this tree specifically.
Yeah, it was like a journey. Like someone looked on their phone and they're like, "Oh, there's this like we're here for one more day. What should we do?" And someone's like, "Oh, there's this thing called the Jesus tree. Well, we should go." And we, like I said, we literally got lost 6 times. Our group got separated 3 different times trying to find it, and we
Mhm.
kept on finding each other again. Law of manifestation, because we were like, we're gonna find our friends. They're gonna show up.
They're
Like
gonna show up.
there they are. And so yeah, it was pretty cool.
Very cool. Well, it's not fair for me to guess, and then you still.
So you kind of gave me a hint.
I did.
I want to just take a rough guess here. When I asked, is it north of Hungary? You were like, it's not north of Hungary, nor is it east. Is it Hungary?
It is not Hungary.
Okay. I thought maybe just the way you answered that, I'm like, ooh, is that like a? It's
We are
not north of Hungary because
we are south of Hungary.
south of Hungary. Okay,
We are closer
um,
to Turkey,
got it. Okay,
and the flag of this country was designed by a poet.
by a poet.
By a poet.
Clary, come on, man.
I gave you 3 clues,
There are
okay?
so I know there are so
We
many
just
clues.
triage this, okay?
I'm trying not to Google this.
You have permission to
I
Google.
know. Who's
More than 350 monasteries. I told you the language. Closer to Turkey, south of Hungary, not Russia, not
That's not
Ukraine.
helpful at all. Sorry. I'm like, come on, man. Okay, south of Hungary. Is this Serbia?
No, but you're bordering it.
I'm
But
bordering.
before you ask another question, I
Okay.
still have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
We're
Great.
here at the end.
Okay.
Okay, we're here near the end. So my next question for you, Maxwell, is how can young professionals like what are some practical steps young professionals can take to strengthen their thoughts and belief systems around success?
Ooh. I was going to say that I think the best thing that you can do is start by defining what success means for you.
Hmm.
Just as a very basic level exercise, if you want to understand how you can find success in your life, you need to know what you're looking for, right? Beyond that, like if you, well, I guess I'll say this differently. If you don't know what success is, how will you know when you've gotten there? It's a never-ending treadmill. If you just have, I want to be successful, and you have no metric, no measuring stick, you might have $100 million and not realize that you've made it.
Hmm. Those are some deep words,
Yeah, I know, right?
but also so simple and so true, right? And this is what, and it's so interesting that you say this because I had this conversation with a friend the other night about miracles and manifestation. And my comment was it's not a miracle unless you have the awareness that a miracle is happening. Unless you acknowledge that it's a miracle. It's not a miracle. It's just another occurrence in your life, right? If I manifest something, it's not really a manifestation until I acknowledge that, oh my goodness, this is a manifestation. Otherwise, it's just another job. Otherwise, it's just another opportunity, right? So we have to be in the present long enough to have that moment of acknowledgement of, wow, what I'm experiencing is really special.
Hmm.
And so I think big part of it, because so much of our thinking about career and our thinking about manifestation and success is the thing that we want is out there and I'm constantly chasing after it, right? And that's the journey, is I'm constantly chasing this thing. And a lot of times what we don't realize is that we are already there. And it's that moment of realization that, whoa, I'm already here. I'm already wealthy. I'm already doing the thing that I love to do. I'm already in the job or in the role that I wanted to be in. It's in those moments where the miracle actually becomes a miracle. So I think what you said is so important, is defining what success looks like so that when you get there, when it happens, you have that moment of realization and you can confidently step into it with gratitude, because of course gratitude is such an important part of the manifestation, right?
Yeah.
um okay, so Maxwell, we've gotten you as close as Serbia.
Before we do that, I want to just share one more thing about success,
Okay,
because I think this is a really important thing to kind of end on.
of course.
If I were to give an advice about success, it would be to understand that success isn't necessarily a dollar amount.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily a position, and it's not necessarily somebody else being proud of you. Success only happens when you realize that you're happy doing whatever it is that you are doing. It doesn't matter if you work a dirty job or if you work a corporate job or if you are at the top of the corporate ladder. If you're not happy doing what you're doing, then I would say that you're not successful, or at least you're not successfully living your life. So, my advice for anyone who's listening, or anyone really, would just be, when you look for success, start here first.
Mm.
Start within what you are and what you have first. Because if you're looking for validation in some form of external thing, you're always going to find some level of disappointment. In fact, I'm going to quote Jim Carrey here because I actually really love what he said. He was on on the stage of the Golden Globes doing an acceptance speech, and he said, "Here I am, not just Jim Carrey, the actor, not just Jim Carrey, the man, but here I am as Jim Carrey, 2-time Golden Globe winner. And what I really look forward to is being up here and being able to say I'm Jim Carrey, 3-time Golden Globe winner, because by then I'll know I've got it."
Hmm.
And it's like, I'll know I've made it, And he's joking, of course, because he's Jim Carrey. He already made it. But it's a great way to look at it, is if you're always looking for the next trophy or the bigger paycheck or the position, the title, validation from a family member or a friend, you're always going to be seeking for something that is external from you. And that is a really good way to not manifest what you want and what you want to create in the world, what you want to bring out of the world and bring into yourself. So that is my closing remark on that. And now I will vote the country that you're in.
Okay.
And I will guess correctly with my first guess.
Yes. Manifesting.
Let's see. I know what country you are in.
Yes. It's a very large country.
I manifest that you.
It is bordering water.
Bordering Serbia. And
It
it's
is
south
bordering
of Hungary.
Serbia.
I am guessing that you are manifesting that you are in Romania. No. Bulgaria.
Yes.
Bulgaria. Okay. Dang it. 50-50 chance.
Specifically, I am at the sanctuary Belintash. Are you familiar with this?
No, I'm not. I've never even heard of this.
Oh, okay. Well, the sanctuary Belintash is on a rocky plateau, and it outlined, so on the rocky plateau are outlined mirror projections of important parts of the star chart. In the area around Belintash and in it, there is a strong energy, and hundreds of people testify for a frequent paranormal phenomena.
Whoa. I should have known, because when I mentioned Raya earlier, Raya is from Bulgaria.
Okay.
So I should have just
Hey, we made it.
We made it
here to the final question, which you kind of already answered, but I want to ask the question anyway, because we ask all of our guests this question. Maxwell, how would you describe success?
You're right. I kind of answered this, but I didn't really, right? It was like close to it. For me, success is, success isn't something that can really be defined, right? It's a feeling. It's like a knowing of maybe a sense of accomplishment or a sense of right. The people who I can say are the most successful are artists. I would say that people who do the craft of art for a living, those are the most successful people, in my opinion. Because as an artist myself, I look at them and I'm like, man, they are doing what they love. They're creating something worthwhile. They are doing something they're good at, and they're doing something they can be paid for. Going back to what you mentioned earlier, the Ikigai principle. So maybe success is those things. Success is if you can find a balance of doing what you love, doing what you are good at, doing what the world needs, and doing what you can be paid for, maybe then you've achieved success. Maybe.
And with that, folks, we've had Maxwell Darwin, the linguistic alchemist, and by the way, a very talented artist. I'm going to pop your collar for you. And I'm not just saying that because you are extremely talented as an artist. I have seen your work. It's detailed, it's intricate, it takes you on a journey. And I am so honored that you have agreed to join the show, to share your perspective, to enlighten us about what it means to manifest and to be successful, and what it's like to work as a contractor and still find your way towards the career and the dreams and the desires that you want of your heart. And so, thank you, Maxwell, for coming on the show and sharing your perspective. And we look forward to connecting again in the future.
Thank you, Clary. Very much appreciated. It's been really great being on the show, and I'm glad to come back anytime.
Thank you, Maxwell. And with that, folks, good night.